In this video, I'll be checking out a new Mirror Touch wireless CarPlay adapter from Ottocast. This is an all new wireless adapter with a twist. It not only lets you convert your wired CarPlay system into a wireless one, it also allows you full phone mirroring to your car display with a much more reliable cable solution, which means less latency in the video mirroring performance, adaptive ratio adjustment, a super fast connection, and with its bi-directional control solution, you can swipe, scroll, tap and type on your car screen just like you are using your phone. So a lot to like here with this new product from Ottocast. Let's jump in and see what's inside the box. Okay, so here's what you get inside the box. You get a quick start user manual. You get the Mirror Touch adapter itself with its braided cables. If you've got a more modern CarPlay USB port in the car, you can use this adapter that comes supplied to allow the adapter to connect to it. So looking over the cable then, we've got two braided cables on each end of a rather long and thin casing with Ottocast branding, status indicator light on the top there, some passive cooling holes on the outsides, and on the back we've got some stamping, and we've got the model number, which is CA450. The USB-A end of the braided cable, I would say, is roughly about 40 centimeters in length. That's going to connect to your wired CarPlay port in the car, and a much longer USB-C connector that's going to connect to your phone. Most iPhones from the last couple of generations now come with USB-C, so they've done away with any Lightning connector. So if you do have a Lightning-based phone, this won't work with it without some sort of converter. I'll say about 80 centimeters in length here, not a full 1 meter. It's a little bit shorter than that, which is ample enough to get to your phone, even to the back of the car potentially, into someone else's phone. Overall, I'd say about 130 length from end to end in terms of cable length. So plenty there, I'd say, for at least the internal cockpit and to get this plugged into. So bear in mind, this will plug into the USB port in the car. The main adapter is going to behave like a wireless adapter that's tethered. So should anything happen to these cables, that's the adapter pretty much fried at that point. You can't change them. And you would basically stow that cable away unless you want to connect to its mirroring function or potentially its wired CarPlay function as well. Now, I believe it's just wireless CarPlay functionality. It won't do wireless Android Auto, but you will have the ability to plug this in and mirror your Android phone as well. So if you've got a CarPlay only vehicle and you want to use it with your Android device for mirroring, for example, then this should facilitate that, no problem. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the adapter. Let's jump in the car now and see how well this adapter all performs. So I'll see you there. Right, so in the Cooper Born, and we've got the Mirror Touch here ready to get plugged in. We're first going to get this plugged in and see how quickly it takes to boot into its boot menu. Right, so we're going to connect now. Right, and now we're into the boot menu, or the beginnings of the boot menu. We've got a language selection screen, which is a little bit different to most wireless adapters. So we're going to choose English here. And then we've got into the main menu interface. You've got three options here: CarPlay, iOS Mirror and Android Mirror. Version numbers down the bottom right hand corner. This is going to take us back to the main system screen. Up here we've got options where we've got language, the default open mode, so you can go straight into either CarPlay, iOS mirroring or Android mirroring, or none, so you can actually choose the ones that you actually want to select from every time. There's a FAQ here for any issues that you might face, and then a user guide with a QR code to take you to that manual, and then the current version number. So all pretty standard stuff and just a real basic that you'd want on this type of functionality in this kind of adapter. But first let's go into CarPlay, and that takes us to the operating screen that we're used to, and it tells you what you need to do to get wireless CarPlay connected. So we've got our iPhone here with a Bluetooth profile here. We've got to tap that to connect. We're going to pair, allow, connect to CarPlay. Oh, and now we're into CarPlay. There's some sort of bouncing animation there. I'm not quite sure what that is, but you can see here we've got some overlays that we can't, we can interact with. So here we've got like a zoom functionality. So we're going to go into, that's just to toggle into the zoom mirroring. We don't really want that. So that's basically like an arrow. If we tap that, yeah, we're back in. And now it's rebooted itself. Back in again with that bouncy animation. So this will take us back to the main menu, I'm assuming. Yep, with a bit of slowness. And then we can toggle back. So that would mean that we could potentially go between mirroring and CarPlay and switch between them, because we're kind of like going in some sort of Android layer. No? Yeah. So the button is there, and we can toggle. It looks like an arrow. I can't quite make it out, but it's covering that looks like an AirPlay symbol. But because it's got the 6 in there, it's cutting off. So we've got a temporary overlay here to toggle between different mirroring functions and CarPlay, as well as going back to the main menu via this option on the top left here. It takes a little while to go back, or the right hit of the button. Almost 2 presses almost, but that's a way to get back to that main menu and ability to go over to mirroring afterwards. Not a bad feature. As for this functionality, that's actually quick, considering, because you've got to think it's probably operating over there's a bit of a weird graphical frame rate glitch there. But you're not going to be doing this all the time. You're just going to be jumping in and out. So let's just jump back to the home screen. Let's just do this quite flushed out. So it's a bit similar to AI boxes, where some AI boxes, the CarPlay wireless connection, it gets a little bit washed out in the maps, and we're seeing it here. So that just kind of shows you that it is running off kind of like an Android layer, potentially. But considering its responsiveness, but it has that kind of graphical glitch going on. Obviously that's going to mess with the touch input, that button at the top there, but yeah, not too bad. Let's just try if we've got some form of GPS pass-through. It's not switching us, so we're going to set a destination and let's go there. We aren't pointing the right way though, and currently we don't have any route guidance at the moment, and we aren't pointing the right way, so GPS pass-through doesn't look enabled or confirmed at the moment, but we'll jump into its IP config menu in a minute. But more importantly, you've got these kind of graphical glitches, and I'm not running iOS 26, this is actually 18.5, but yeah, some sort of processing going on there. We're going to try and see if we got a IP config menu. Yep, we do. So 1.101. We've got a ticket submission screen there, and we've got an update section. And here we can check for updates. We do have an update. So we'll just go to the settings section first. GPS source. It's currently using IPS GPS. We're going to use the head unit, which is probably going to reboot the dongle. Most of them do, yep. So there's a little bit of onboarding there, which is good. But now we're back into the adapter. It's not launching CarPlay straight away, so we have to tap and intervene. And we're not connected to it either at the moment. There we are, back in. So a little bit better now. Let's just go into maps where it was really glitching. A little bit of a delay in the comeback, but let's zoom in. Yeah, so we're facing the right way now with that option turned on. Happy days. Got Wi-Fi channel here. Switch to P2P. No, not yet. Not quite sure what that is just yet. So let's update, see if it gets rid of any of that glitch. So we're going to check for updates. We are going to update and apply. So now it's all downloading that update, and I'll come back to you once it's finished.
A few moments later.
Okay, so now it's completely updated and it's now rebooting the adapter. Not much change there. Let's turn on, let's do into CarPlay. So we're back in, and we can then refresh the page. We are running the latest version. Nothing has changed really here either. Still got GP source, channel, but that's all updated. and we can now restart the dongle with CarPlay mode enabled to see how quickly it takes to boot and get into CarPlay. Okay, connecting now. Nice and quick, straight into CarPlay mode. Now it's being recognized. But now we're into the CarPlay experience. Now, that hasn't changed since the update. Been nice and smooth. Not seeing any glitching this time, so I think that's kind of remedied itself. Can jump in, see it's a little bit more stable and a bit more improved. This little button up here is going to be a bit annoying and getting in the way, but let's fire that up. Okay, still no route guidance on the cluster or in the HUD, unfortunately. At least GPS pass-through is working, so not too bad. So let's jump into music and test out some audio. That's the touch input delay. Not bad. Forward and back on the buttons. Works fine. Call button. Send an audio message to test. Hi, this is Anthony from CarPlayLife.com. This is an audio message using the Ottocast Mirror Touch adapter, and this is an audio test. Okay, the audio sounds great. Audio has also resumed in the Spotify app. Quality is good, no extra gain. Happy with that. Let's quickly test some seeking. That's supported. Backwards and forwards. Sounds good as well, actually, at volume. All right, that's the audio done in messaging. Let's do a call test. Hello? Hello? One, two, three, 4, 5. Hello. Okay, good call quality. Quite good audio delay as well in calling. So definitely happy with that. So that's CarPlay in a nutshell, really. We've seen that we've got GPS pass-through. No instrument cluster support, unfortunately. Sounds good. Call's good. The audio delay is not too bad either. So not a bad experience just for wireless CarPlay, but obviously we've got extra functionality with this additional cable that sticks out the end of the adapter. So for this, we need to go into the mirroring mode for iOS. So we're going to tap the option up here, head into iOS mirroring. So we've got accessibility options where you can zoom in. You can actually choose that in settings. I'll just show you that actually on the phone. So in that accessibility, you can then go into zoom and turn on zoom mode. I've got mine to do a darken mode. So we're going to hit next, and now we're going to plug in our device. We're going to go back to the main menu here. Plug that in to the bottom of our phone. Gets connected as it detected as a mirroring function. We've got our phone nicely rendered there without too much delay. It's not too bad. We can hopefully go back into CarPlay. Yep, that's still working. If we tap this up here and then next, it's detected the cable connection, and it's brought us back into the mirroring function again. So not bad there. Here we've got some options. Again, back to the FAC. We can change screen ratio. I'm not quite sure what XYZ is. We'll look into that in a minute. Home, function, and that will take us back to the system. I'm going to turn that on. Don't want to keep seeing that all the time, and it's going to detect us again. That's us back in. We can start a clock just to show you what the latency is like. They show this on their website. So if I start that, and you can see it's pretty good actually, but unless I show it in frames, you won't really know what the delay is really. So we can fire up YouTube, and we can play our talkie bit and see what the video sync is with lip sync. I'll do some of these again to show you what's new. But so far it's a good start. Those widgets are very welcome. If they are in a little bit of a out of place, I'm happy with that. That's very good sync. Looks crisp and sharp. You can see I've toggled between the different screen real estate ratios. It's sizing it fairly well. It was cropped earlier, and it fixed itself there. But let's go into a Twitch, check out the audio delay in there. So I ran about 100, which is actually very good, and mirrors the good lip sync that we've seen earlier in the full video as well. So happy with that. Plays well, looks good. The one thing I'm not seeing though is this touch pass-through business. So it thinks it needs accessibility turned on. So let's do that. So here we are. We can't really interact with this. We'll turn on zoom mode. So zoom mode's turned on. All right, let's try this a second. Okay, so that's working. So if I tap, say, YouTube, wow, okay, that worked. But I can't go back now. Maybe if I tap home, that works. They've thought about that. So that's good. That zoom mode is not really doing much. You can accidentally zoom in, but if you 3-finger tap, so if it zoomed in slightly, you do a 3-finger tap and look at the icons, it comes back to normal again. That's in zoom mode. But now that you've got that all set up, yeah, let's just try anything really. You can pull down, you can actually type in. We can go into Netflix, and then we can load up the video.
Brilliant drive.
That works. We can go backwards and forwards.
The overtake on Valtteri created this spark and this tension between the two of us. That was committed, it was brave, it was brilliant.
All right, that sounds good. Happy with that. You don't really see the overlay on top, but you can still interact and sort of fast forward as if those options were there, but you just don't see that overlay that's on top. Quality is not too bad, but it's definitely watchable and it looks good. I'd be happy with that. So again, you can go home. That takes you back to home. You can do whatever you like. So Disney Plus, Hulu should all work as well. You can try out Prime Video. Let's go into any old one here.
It was a monster.
So here we got the overlay. That's working. And we can scrub really nicely as well.
We worried more by midsummer. The studio kept saying you have
looks good.
to finish.
You don't really have to do much of that. You've got this and this as well at the same time.
Finish shooting by June 15th.
And that meant everything was rushed.
Stephen was getting very nervous about all of this.
Okay, sounds good, and the sync is good as well. So generally across the board is very good, and you can see that the major copyrighted apps are working via this method as well.
Dedra Miro's code cert for a year now. Total access. Rebellion on Gorman. It's a front from the start.
So again, VLC app on iOS. If you've got any sort of media hubs or media servers connected to that, that's going to work just as well. And that all works good. Looks nice and sharp.
Miro called a raid this
3561 east.
Sounds good. All in sync. And yeah, happy with that. It sounds great. Goes full screen, at least on this display. You do have like a zoom in controls with VLC. Generally happy with that and how it performs in iOS. Well, as you can see, I've connected up my iPhone and we're using Luna on the browser, connecting a 360 controller over Bluetooth. And we've zoomed in here. You've got a couple of settings here you can choose. We're maxed out to the whole full height, keeping the ratio, which is really good. Just going to do a quick play. Obviously this is cloud gaming, so it's going to use the online servers, so bear that in mind in terms of the connection and the general quality and the responsiveness you'll get. Obviously with the low latency of the connection over the mirroring cable, it should actually be playable, so we'll see. Playable. So for a non-responsive game needed, it should be good for that. So See if I can beat my last. Yeah, it's competitive enough. Beat my last time. So I'll be happy with that. And obviously, less intense games are going to be much more easier to play as well. So that is gaming over iOS. Obviously, you can actually then use an iOS game with the controller. There's plenty of those around, and you can use those as well. You can use NVIDIA GeForce Now, Xbox Cloud Gaming, the PlayStation 1, I can't remember. But yeah, via the browser, you can then connect it to also movies as well. And that's iOS mirroring and gaming. All whilst we're doing this, CarPlay is still in the background doing its thing. But we can go into Android mirroring now. So we're going to scan this QR code, see where it goes. So this function only supports Android phones with DP screen mirroring function. So we've got a S22 which says apparently is compatible. So we just need to literally, hopefully, plug it in. So we're going to plug it in. Connected to external display. Oh, and yeah, it's running Samsung DeX now. So if you've got Samsung, you should be able to interact with this. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So that was DeX. We don't want to use that, but just shows you that it's possible. We're going to come out of that and we're going to turn DeX off, and we're going to connect it again. It might just always go into DeX. Nope, that's fixed it. So we've turned DeX off and now we're into here. Good responsiveness, I would say. Let's jump into YouTube. And can we interact with this? Yeah, we can. So no additional function on Android, it just works, which is cool. And we can go down here. Is a touch input. Can't quite tap that little bit at the bottom there, so I'm going to do it on my phone and go into. We're going to rotate that full screen. So here we have full screen. We can do that. It's going to crop it though. Let's try and make that full screen. We can. Also that as well. But I think that's stretching it. Yeah, that is stretching it. So the second one is a good option. And we're pretty much near to 0 there. So the delay is very good. Can we interact with this? Yeah, we can. Hopefully when more significant updates come out between now and September, I'll do some of these again to show you what's new. But so far it's a good start. Those widgets are very welcome. If they are in a little bit of a out of place location in CarPlay, I personally would have found them a lot better if they were integrated into the dashboard. Obviously, if you've got a car that has compatibility... That sounds good, actually. I've upped the quality as well to 1080p. A bit sharper, looks a bit better. The fact you can interact and it's got all the overlays is a little bit better than iOS because they weren't showing before. But yeah, looks good. You can scale it up as well if you need to. And yeah, it fills the screen and it looks really good. But what we'll do, we'll go back into full screen again. In your instrument cluster, which is a little bit more acceptable. So we'll just pause that a second and try out the home function. Yeah, that works. And you can get back to whatever you like, really. And the same thing will happen for things like Netflix and gaming in general off the Android device. That will work too. You can try out Netflix. Here we are in Netflix. We can try out some video.
Puncher.
That.
Showed your strength.
Bit of an issue there with Netflix. We'll try on the phone.
I just missed out on winning my first.
A few moments later.
Saw an image there at the beginning and then it just stopped. So it looks semi-possible. It might be device related. Something it doesn't quite like there in Netflix. So your experience might vary there, but obviously the interactions. Now into Amazon Prime. Just try the video that we were watching on iOS.
To finish the picture,
before this potential strike.
That looks alright. You can skip as well.
Joe or
And
somebody
that all
tipped me off.
works well as well and very rapid.
If they use
Yep, happy with that. Again, home. Perfect. So yeah, really, really cool. We could try a game. So obviously portrait games aren't going to work that well. But you can see here that it's all playable. Obviously in a much more smaller format. So you really got to go for something that's a bit more landscape. Right, so I've connected the Android, downloaded Asphalt Extreme, connected up my Bluetooth controller, and you can see here you've got a full-on capability of a Samsung, which is going to be way more powerful than a AI box is, especially the later Samsungs. So you're going to get better performance in the games, and you're going to get very little latency as well from the connection to the display. And with the Bluetooth controller, you've got gaming completely sorted, and I don't really see the reason really to have an AI box. Game plays well. It's not full screen. You could probably do that. I'll just pause it a second. And you got widescreen, but it's not full screen. So you've got in the ratio, but if you could do that if you wanted to, if you don't mind that kind of cropped nature of the display, but I think the second option is good enough. And sounds coming out of your car speakers, and yeah, happy days. It just looks good because you've got that power behind the device that you got plugged into it. So that's gaming on Android. Works really, really well with the controller. Got your phone, have a controller, connect it together, and you've got some pretty good gaming on your car display without too much outlay for the adapter. So big thumbs up for that. So again, all the touch input all works as well. And we can exit here and go back to the main menu screen. So the Mirror Touch wireless CarPlay adapter currently retails on the Ottocast store for $99 in the US, and I'll put links down below to learn more about this adapter. Support my channel and buy yourself one. And with the current sale on right now, you can get 10% off all orders, and that will get that down a little bit more as well, by around about $10 off. So that'll make it roughly around $89. So very good price there for a quick adapter that you can just connect, get wireless CarPlay, and get some pretty good mirroring and boost of entertainment in your car without too much outlay. Using your existing devices, you don't have to worry about anything like logging in like you would have to do with an AI box, because it is handled differently. But the elephant in the room is obviously there's no Android Auto support. We might see that with a Pro model potentially in the future, but CarPlay works very, very well actually, and you can actually have it both simultaneously running in the background alongside your mirrored device that you have connected. We've seen iOS works fairly well, and Android just as good as well, if not a little bit better in its mirroring, at least on my S22. And yeah, really, really good. I can't really see a need for an AI box when you've got this kind of setup and you've got all the apps on your phone. You can just connect away, get the least sync possible through a cabled connection. The only thing is, it's cabled. You do have to stow this away a little bit neater, especially if you've got a CarPlay port that's front and center. You're going to get this dongle hanging out, and it's not a very good sight if you're into your aesthetics in the car. But if you do have it all in a cubbyhole, which most cars do have their USB ports, then it's really a non-issue. So if you're looking for decent mirroring support through cable, which is probably the best way than a wireless option, you don't have to worry about anything like hotspotting and things like that, or connecting to Wi-Fi, then this really is a really good solution for Ottocast. So well done. All right, hope you found this video helpful. If it has, give us a big thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions about the Mirror Touch from Ottocast, and I'll try my best to answer them. If you like this content, you can support me through sending me a super thanks on YouTube down below, or you can check out my link here to buy me a coffee, and you can support me there too. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.